We are continuing our coverage of the municipal election in Barrie and Simcoe County, giving voters a chance to hear directly from the people seeking their vote. Today, we are talking to Dave Weingarten, who is running for councillor in Barrie's Ward 9. For the past 12 years, the ward has been represented by Sergio Morales. We will get into what motivated Weingarten to run, the challenges facing the ward, and what he wants to accomplish as voters prepare to cast their ballot on October 26th. Thank you so much, Dave, for joining me today. How are you?
Excellent. Yeah, thanks a lot for having me. As I said, I think it's important to know who you're voting for. So thanks a lot for having me on your platform.
You want to represent Ward 9 in Barrie, in which is on the south end of the city. So before going into your platform, just briefly about your background, where you were born, grew up, and what have been you have been doing so far.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I was born in Ontario, in Toronto, and I lived in Newmarket for much of my young life. I've lived in Barrie now for the past 11 years, and I do live in Ward 9 as well, the ward that I'm looking to represent. I'm a father first. I think that's the best job I've ever had. But a father first, and I'm a videographer and editor, so I have my own company. I'm not a politician. I sometimes joke that maybe we need less politicians in politics and more ordinary residents who feel the pinch every day and sort of live through the issues that people are concerned about. And I'm one of those people. I'm a business owner. I'm concerned about the safety of the city, the maintenance of the roads, and the rate at which we're being taxed municipally. So that's a bit about me. I've also had a few other careers in my past lives as a healthcare worker, a broadcast journalist. But most recently, I'm looking to represent the residents of Ward 9 as best I can.
So what really piqued your interest in running for the councillor uh, for Ward 9?
I think I think a lot of other residents see that there's a lot of room for improvement in at City Hall, and I think that's in terms of the responsiveness of our councillors, how easy it is to get in touch with them. Also, the money that's being spent and the attention that's being paid to real issues that I think affect residents every single day, and that's road maintenance, that's crime, taxes, the safety of our parks. Snow removal is a big one that I've heard a lot about. People care about in Barrie. But it's seeing that there's a lot of room for improvement, and in the void of nobody else stepping up, I thought, well, why not throw my hat in and see if I can do a better job. I think a lot of people like to talk behind a keyboard or a monitor, and I don't want to do that anymore. And I'd like to actually try and improve the neighborhoods and the community that I live in.
Yeah, so have you been going across Ward 9 talking to people, and then if yes, then what issues you have heard, they are primary concerned with?
Yeah, so I've been, I mean, like I said, I've got a full-time job. So as much as possible in my spare time, I'm trying to fill in those cracks in my life with as much time canvassing as I can and knocking on doors and meeting residents. I've managed to knock on hundreds, if not thousands of doors already, and I've spoken with dozens or hundreds of residents, more likely hundreds of residents. And I've been really encouraged that, as you mentioned before, voter turnout turns is typically low in municipal elections. But from my experience and knocking on doors, I've seen that a lot of people are interested in the issues that are facing Ward 9. I've been encouraged that people are actually willing to answer the door and give me their time and talk with me and share their concerns and listen to what I want to do to represent them. A lot of what I've been hearing are the issues that we read about in the news, and that's crime, drugs, as well as road maintenance, snow removal, And my platform that I'm running on is I want to make the city affordable for people and keep it affordable. I want to keep property taxes as low as possible, and those issues that a lot of people are concerned about, which could be road maintenance or the safety of parks and our communities. I think that's going to be improved through communication. I think communication will open the door to solving or at least making better many of these issues. And that's what I want to bring first and foremost. I want to be accessible. I want people to be able to reach out to me, and I want to be responsive. I think if you look at any commercial outlet, if you look at a fast food joint, if you had a complaint, the manager would get back to you within a week. And I think that municipal politics is extremely important. City Hall and that level of government, we deserve, as the tax-paying residents of Barrie, we deserve a representative who will be accessible and responsive.
You just mentioned that you live in Ward 9. So do you think how much that hinders or enables someone to understand the issues of the residents if you live or don't live in the ward, and how much that hinders or help them to address those issues immediately?
Yeah, I mean, there's no rule against running in a different ward, and so I totally respect people's rights to run for political office. But I think there's no denying it that when you live in the area that you represent, you are driving through the concerns that the residents you're representing see every day, that they drive over, that they are ruining their suspension on their car as they drive over these potholes or these corners where there's traffic complications. I can say I am frustrated by the situation right now at Huronia and Loon. There's a paid parking lot there. The paid parking comes immediately off of a lit intersection. Causes a lot of backups, causes a lot of people parking at the intersection to save the $4 fee, and that causes safety concerns. And I don't think there's any denying that when that's outside your window every day, that I think there becomes a bit more urgency. And I think that you have a representative who is more motivated to take care of those problems, a candidate who has skin in the game, as they say.
Yeah, another issue you mentioned on your website is you are not affiliated with any political party, and this one of the things I experienced and talking to the residents as well, that there is a lot of officially there are no political parties in the council, but very clearly you can see how particular issue is voted, or how even they talk to each other when council session is now not not in session, how they clustered into different groups, and how they show up for different political events, whether it's a conservative or liberal. So there is very clearly that political divide in the council. So how do what do you feel about that, and how, if elected, how would you behave, interact with other councillors in the council?
Yeah, as you said, there's no official political representation in or party affiliation within city council. And I think it's kind of like separating church and state, right? I've got my own personal beliefs, but the bottom line is that our job is to represent the residents of Ward 9, no matter what their political affiliation is, whether you're Liberal, Conservative, NDP, Green Party. You still use the same roads. You still have the same wastewater issues. You still have the same issues with the parks that we're frequenting. So political affiliation would not be an issue at all as far as I'm concerned. I would not be drawing lines along political boundaries. I would be representing the residents of Ward 9. That's the only boundary that I would care about, is representing the people that are my neighbors and my friends and colleagues and people that I work and play with. I want to represent them as best I can. And to do that, I would simply work with other councillors as best I can to find solutions to the issues that are affecting the residents of Ward 9. And some of those issues, many of those issues, spill over into other wards as well. So there's a common interest, I think, among councillors to represent the people that they've been tasked with representing. And I am committing to work as hard as I can to work with the other councillors so that we can pass measures that will benefit the residents, not only of Ward 9, but all the other wards as well.
Yeah, you mentioned about you believe in financial austerity. So a few questions about that, and the different issues that city is facing. First thing, it's uh this has come up a lot during police sorry city council budget, how much percentage goes to the Barrie police, which is, the biggest chunk,
Mhm.
and then how much goes to the other issues, let's say uh, homelessness or housing and drug addiction, all those issues. So what would be your approach? How would you stand on those issues, funding the police budget as well as because there is only limited resources when it comes to the city.
That's true. That's right. There's limited resources, and every Canadian family right now in a country that's in a recession, and every family in Barrie right now is also feeling that there are limited resources. And in those households, when you feel that there are limited resources, what do? You look at your budget and you look at ways that you can save money, right? We don't say, "Oh, it's too bad we don't have the money, so let's go buy that sports car. Oh, we don't have the money, let's add that addition to the garage." Canadian families don't have that option. Canadian families don't have the option of spending other people's money. So I think, first of all, there needs to be the determination and the willpower in city council to take that financial approach and have that ethic and that scrutiny to the budget that Canadian families are having to do right now with their own home budgets. And in a city with a $350 million operating budget, there is a lot of room for improvement. And property taxes, for example, most of the money does go to emergency services, fire, ambulance, police. I would propose, and I would see if I could get other councillors on board with me, if we could mandate those services to not cut any services, not cut any pay for their employees or programs, but if they could look internally and look at the waste maybe that occurs, which just it happens naturally over time in large organizations like that. There is fat that can be trimmed. There's software that people are paying hundreds of thousands of dollars a year for membership, and maybe we can find something less expensive. Maybe they don't even need that software anymore. Maybe it's outdated. But I think with the mandate that we look at those services and look at ways to cut fat and cut money, I think we could make great strides in improving the lives of everyday residents of Barrie. There are businesses out there which will, I hate to bring up consultants because consultants traditionally they cost a lot of money, but there are organizations out there which will look at your business and the finances of your business, and they will find ways to save money, and they will only get paid if a percentage of what they end up saving you. So we could get an organization like that to look at the money that's being spent and find a way to spend it. And, with that extra money, we could put it into the issues that are really concerning everyday residents. Roads, snow removal. You mentioned crime and drugs at a municipal level. I think we can improve those issues to some degree, but beyond that, there's going to be a requirement that we deal and consult with the provincial government and make sure that even if we have extra police downtown, even if we have the resources to take these people who are obviously high or causing a disturbance, and they're preventing people from enjoying downtown, we can't just drop them off at the edge of town. They have to go somewhere and get help. So we would have to work with the provincial government to see if we could find funding to get facilities for rehabilitation, so that we're not just dropping people off at the edge of town and sweeping things under the rug. There has to be a larger strategy beyond just cleaning up downtown. There has to be something. We have to be forward thinking and look at where does it go beyond that. But I think, again, if we take the same ethic, and really it's just going to come from determination and willpower. If there's determination in City Hall, like there was in 2021, to keep property tax increases at less than 1%, right? There was a determination then on the eve of an election cycle, right? There was a determination to keep property taxes low. If we have that same will, where there's a will, there's a way. And I know that we can find answers in a city with an operating budget of $350 million. We can find a way to have our cake and eat it too, I think. Making sure that we're saving money and putting that into the right places.
Yeah, so you mentioned about the downtown, and this issue has dominated past 2 years, the entire council, this council, but past 2 year has this issue has dominated. I live very close to the downtown, maybe 10 15 minute walk from here. So you mentioned about and this has been complained of a lot of residents, that how to address the issue, like picking up and dropping homeless people somewhere else. They can always come back. So that leads to housing affordable housing is one of the issues that the council has been trying to deal with. So how would you approach that? What solution you think to address affordability when it comes to housing, and even putting food on the table, helping residents in that way?
Well, I don't think any one counselor is going to solve those problems. I think they're big problems that go beyond the borders of Barrie. They're provincial problems, they're federal problems. Um, so, I will work with the other members of council as best I can to address these issues. If there were easy solutions to these problems, especially in an election year, we would have solutions already, but we don't because they're complicated issues. But I think what we need is someone who has frustration, the same frustration as other Barrie residents to some degree, that they have that determination and that willpower to really make a difference. And like I mentioned, if somebody is drunk downtown and they're causing a disturbance, there's a charge for that. Police will pick them up and they'll take them uh, somewhere for the night, perhaps. Drug addiction, if you're downtown and you're causing a disturbance, or if your drug usage is interfering with the law-abiding citizens of Barrie, you can't be there. And it should be the same thing, that the police would take you away for causing a disturbance. But beyond that, I mean, that's where we're going to need consultation and negotiation with the provincial government to make sure they have somewhere to go. I also think that if we did take a more austere financial approach and handled the city budget the same way a lot of Canadians are having to handle their budgets, and exercising financial austerity, then maybe we could find some of those temporary solutions, local solutions, that we could have facilities opened up. Maybe we could find funding for solutions locally. But I think it's been a rough ride for this country. I think for several years, if not longer, and I think it will take a lot of determination, I think, and people who really want to make things better. Going back to your question before, why should we vote for someone who lives in that ward? That's why, because those people are walking through the problems and the issues and the concerns that people, everyday Barrie residents, care about. And I think when you see that every day and that's in your ward, then I think you have a lot more motivation and a lot more determination to do something about it and to work as hard as you can, to negotiate as hard as you can, and not just say that good enough is good enough. Good enough is not good enough. And I think we need to try harder.
Just last couple of questions. One
Sure.
thing, if elected, you will have to deal with is the strong mayor's power that Barrie mayor has,
Yeah.
whether it's Alex Nuttall or and somebody else, and that I have seen create a lot of frustration with other councillors, where mayor can push through his agenda in the council. So how do you think you will deal with that? How will you work with the mayor who has the strong mayor's power?
Yeah, strong mayor powers are a double-edged sword, right? They can achieve great things in a short amount of time, and they can also tick a lot of people off. I personally, I don't have a lot of complaints about Mayor Nuttall's term. I think he's done a fairly reasonably good job. So it is what it is. I would deal with it the best I can. I think there's circumstances where it can help. But I think, just to keep my eye on the finish line and really work as hard as I can for my constituents and the residents of Ward 9, I think that's what I'm going to have to focus on. I can't get too hung up over what's out of my control. I can only vote with my conscience and vote with what my constituents would mandate me with voting for, and do the best job that I can.
Okay, so just the last question. What if you can just summarize, your pitch, if I
Yeah.
will, for the residents of Ward 9, and why should they elect you? And what will you do if elected?
Absolutely. Well, I think we need less politicians in politics, and I think we need more of our neighbors and friends and colleagues. And that's what I am. I'm a resident of Ward 9. I'm a business owner, a local business owner, and I know what it's like to have to balance your books and have to turn a profit in order to stay viable. And I want to bring that ethic and that point of view to City Hall so that I can hopefully change things to be better and make the city more affordable. And that's going to start with accessibility, communication, and responsiveness, making sure that the best barometer for what's wrong with the city are your neighbors and what their concerns are. And so we have to listen to our neighbors and our friends and our colleagues and find out what concerns people. We have to listen first and we have to respond. And beyond that, I think that's going to create a lot of opportunity to make the city better, to make it a lot more affordable. And I think the second thing I want to focus on is spending tax money more wisely. I think it's something that everybody is having to do in their household with their budget right now. And I think we expect that same level of financial ethic at City Hall, and we deserve it.
For Simcoe Community Media, I am Deepak Bidwai. This story was supported by the Local Journalism Initiative.